Morning, everybody. It's good to see you. You're watching Inside Tennessee. We have been talking to Congressman Tim Burchett, and I'm just going to put you on the spot. Tim, are you going to seek re-election in 2022?
Yes, I am.
Very good. All right. Don Bosch,
Well,
change the topic. Let's go.
Leads me into a question. Thanks for the setup, John. Tim, you put on the proposed legislation, I believe, last week that would term limit incoming congressmen, and it specifically exempted those already in Congress, i.e. you. I find that a bit curious. So my first question is, would you self-limit at some point? Is there a number of terms where you're going to say that's enough, or are you, going to try to outlast the Duncan legacy?
No, and let me tell you, Don, my position on that is the reason I do that is because there's these organizations, and you know as well as I do, Susan, you worked in Nashville, and there are organizations that they're just cottage industries, and there's a group out there on term limits, and I support term limits as I've stated, but dadgummit, this bunch up here ain't never going to vote themselves out of office. So the only way you're going to do it is grandfather the ones in that are here, and then when they drop out, the next person in that position will be term limited. And that's the only way we're ever going to get term limits. We can talk about it and say it's the greatest thing in the world, but you all know, Don, you've seen it, and I'm sure you've seen it in court dealings. There's always something going on behind the scenes. And, that miraculously that bill will be studied over the summer, or it'll be delayed, or one group will do this or one that. And, we're never going to pass term limits. All we're going to do is have groups up here raising money to fight term limits. And it will never happen. If they want to do it, let's
if you believe in term limits.
Take a generation is what I'm saying.
I know. Will you self-limit,
though, haven't you, Tim?
Do what? I'm sorry. No, Don, I won't. And what was your question, John? Well, I'm sorry.
I remember that
you just
before you even ran for the House, you were talking about that you would self-limit, or your intent was only to serve X number of terms.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. It's like we used to joke around in Nashville. Everybody was for term limits until they got there, and then they thought they'd study it for a few more terms. But the reality is I've only been here 3 years, so to discuss term limiting myself, I don't know what that would be.
Fair enough. John, any follow-up?
Kelly and Isabel Burchett would probably have more to do with the term limits on me than me.
I think the people of this country definitely support term limits, but you're right. It's how do you get the folks that are in Senate and Congress to term limit themselves. I hope you will stay on that, and hopefully you can get some other folks to come along with you. It would be a constitutional amendment and would take all 34 states to pass it. I think your state, Tennessee, would definitely be one of those that would be for it. I hear it all the time. We used to say, well, the term limits are at the ballot box. And that is sometimes true, but not always, because incumbency is a very powerful thing. So from my standpoint, stay on it and try to get some other folks. Tim, what keeps you awake at night on your blow-up mattress in your office? What is there that really bothers you?
Well, actually, my blow-up mattress went flat.
Me that Tim's on a blow-up mattress. Yeah.
Well, actually, my blow-up mattress went flat. You see that black couch back there? A buddy of mine gave me a foam rubber deal, and it's behind the couch. I just roll it out and throw it. And I got a quilt my mama made, and I sleep on it. But you know what? I guess what keeps me awake at night is I think Don or one of y'all touched on it earlier, is just the volatility in this country. I've had threats on my life, which I understand, and then and that's part of the game. But when people have made threats about my sweet little girl and my wife, and some of them are sexually violent in nature, and that's the kind of thing I worry about. I have spent a great deal of money on security at my place because of that. We've had some issues, and that's just, I guess, Don, you could address this more, and you see it every day in the courtroom, just the violence that is our society today, and people freak out when they see me and Representative Cooper talking or Cohen, on my side of the aisle and on their side of the aisle. I gave this example, and in AOC, she's a friend of mine. I'd like to meet her at the ballot box, but we're not. We made a martyr out of her. But, she she came and sat beside me one time. I said, hey, Cortez, come over here. And we were talking about something, just kind of laughing at something. And we talked for a little while. And she got up and went over to her side. And that time, one of the old timers who's not here anymore reached over my shoulder and said, hey, Burchett, you got to be careful, man. Somebody gets a picture of you all talking and it's all over. And then I looked over there at her, and a bunch of old timers had circled her and said, hey, you got to be careful going over there talking to them. You know, and that's kind of the mentality. It just breeds out into the country, and this violence that's going on. It's got to stop, man. It has got to stop. And, you know, we get into it all the time talking about stuff, but
Tim,
I worry about that, about our country. I worry about our future, Don. You know, you and I fight like cats and dogs all the time. You repeatedly take cheap shots at me, but I still love you, Don. And, you know, but you don't do that in the rest of the country. And so that does kind of disturb me.
Calling you out on votes and behaviors are not cheap shots.
It's a good one.
And I'm going to take one that you think is a cheap shot.
That's what we're going to do. You're watching Inside Tennessee. We're coming back for one last block.